Hi guys, my name is Ro. Welcome back to my channel, Let's Talk Movies. So today's video is going to be an exciting one. I've been wanting to do this for so long and I finished all the DC comic movies that I wanted to discuss in this video like 2 months ago because I was going to do it then, but then obviously October crept up and I had to do spooky videos and I didn't want to add this in there because it's not a spooky video. But we are now in November and I'm excited to get into this one, so let's get started. So this is going to be a pretty long video. I was kind of debating on whether or not I should split this into 3 because I do have 3 sections of this video. So I have the worst of the DC comic movies, I have the ones that I find okay, so they're in the middle, and then I have my favorites, so the best. But I thought I would just throw them all in one and try and make it quick if I can, because I just feel like I've been holding out for too long on this video and I want to get it out there for you guys, and I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. So before I go into this video, I wanted to tell you guys some of the rules that I've put in place because I have excluded some movies from this list. So the rules that I have here written down, they have to be released after the first Christopher Reeve Superman movie, so after that date. Anything older than that I have not put on this list. They must not be an animated movie, so I know that there's a lot of Batman animated movies and too many to add into this list, otherwise this would be a list that will go on forever, so I have not added those in. And it should be a superhero slash villain slash masked movie only, so that doesn't include movies like A History of Violence, Road to Perdition, Red or Red 2, so those ones aren't on this. And I did not mention Steel or Swamp Thing or Return of Swamp Thing. I just felt like none of these movies fell into those categories, so that is why they are excluded. But I have seen most of those movies, so if I was to put them on the list I would have, but we're going to stick to the rules just to make it simple. Okay, so we're going to be starting from the bottom and working our way up. So we're going to be doing the worst. So at number 34, I have Green Lantern. You guys probably already know how I feel about this because I gave this half a star out of 5. And to be honest, I still think that was generous because I would give it half a star out of 10. I hated this movie. It was so bad. The CGI was horrible. Ryan Reynolds' acting was not good. Just everything about this movie was just not good. I was so bored. I pushed through this movie. I don't know how I pushed through it because it was just terrible. I'm sorry, my hair's doing this really weird thing and it's pissing me off. So we'll have to just deal with that, okay? Don't watch it. I watched it for this video, and if it wasn't for this video, I probably never would have, and I would have saved myself 2 hours or however long it was because it was so bad. At number 33, I have Superman 3. Not good. It's not a good movie. It was so cheesy, so boring. Not even Christopher Reeves was good in this. Like, that's how you just know it was not a good movie. Skip it. I don't know what else to say about this. Just skip it. It was so cheese. So at number 32, I have Catwoman. This is the movie with Halle Berry and Sharon Stone. Awful. I mean, terrible, terrible premise, story, just acting, everything. Funnily enough, when I first watched it, I enjoyed myself, so it's not like a boring movie, but it's just not good. Like, it's a mess. It's as if like they filmed different bits and then just try to put it together, and it just does not work. At number 31, I have Batman and Robin. This was just ridiculous. I kind of was bummed because I really love Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy and I really love Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl, but everything else is a no. Arnold Schwarzenegger does so many puns in this movie and they're just so cringy, and I don't think I'll ever rewatch this movie. I think I've seen it a few times actually. I don't know why I decided to put myself through that, but I've seen it a couple of times. I just wish that Uma Thurman and Alicia Silverstone had more screen time and were in a better Batman movie because This just wasn't it. At number 30, I have Supergirl. This was a bit of a disappointment for me. I have seen this twice because I watched it once when I was really young, and then I watched it in the last few years. I can't remember when, but I watched it pretty recently, and I thought I liked it, but I probably was way too young to know what a good movie was, and I hated it. It was, again, messy. The story was stupid. At number 29, I have Jonah Hex. This stars Megan Fox and Josh Brolin and Michael Fassbender. Great actors. I love them all. I love Megan Fox. You guys know on this channel I love Megan. But yeah, no. All the actors, fantastic. This movie, horrible. Because I'm a little bit biased and I love Megan Fox, I've watched this a couple of times. I don't know why I keep thinking it's going to get better, but it doesn't. It's not good. It's crap. It's a no from me. At number 28, I have The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Again, not a good movie. I don't really have anything to say about this movie, to be honest. I've watched it twice. I think I watched it once with my family, but we were at a theme park, and it was one of those dive-in theme parks where you like lay in the pool on like a floaty. But I remember not liking it then, and I thought maybe it was because I wasn't really like concentrating or something. So I rewatched it a few years later and I still hated it. It was not good. And I know Sean Connery hated this movie, and they all had an issue with like the director or something. And I had heard that this was the movie that made Sean Connery quit acting. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I had heard, that his experience on the set of this movie was so bad that he just decided to retire. And that just makes me sad. Okay, so now that we've gone through the worst list, we are going to go through my okay list, which is because I don't hate it, but I don't love it. They're just okay movies, and they are rewatchable. I can watch them if they're on, or there are some in the higher part of this list that I do own, and we'll get to that. I bet you guys were expecting the next movie that I'm going to say to be in the worst list, but it wasn't as bad as Green Lantern, and because I watched them back to back, I couldn't put it in the worst. I don't know why. And so at number 27, I have Wonder Woman 1984. So this is the sequel to the first Wonder Woman, starring Gal Gadot, and everyone was talking about how bad this one was. So I was really expecting the worst. And going into it, I didn't love it. The pacing was weird. The acting was weird. I think Gal Gadot was the only one that I actually thought did a good job in this. What's Pascal's first name? Anyway, I should know this. He's Chilean. I'm Chilean. But anyway, I didn't love his acting at all in this movie. And I love him. I think he's fantastic. And The Mandalorian is one of my favorite TV shows. But he was just not Pedro Pascal. But he was just not good in this. And as the bad guy, he was just so cheesy. And I just, so much cringe in this movie. I don't know what other word to use, okay? But in saying that, I still felt entertained during it, which is why I couldn't put it in my worst movies, because I was entertained. And I might be in the minority here in putting it higher than a lot of the other ones I've just mentioned, but I just didn't think it was the worst. Probably won't rewatch it. It was too long for what it was. The story could have been condensed a lot more. I wish it was better because I loved the first Wonder Woman. So yeah, this one was a disappointment. There were some bits that I really enjoyed from this, which is why it's not in my worst, but I will not be watching it again. Well, not anytime soon. At 26, I have The Losers. If I'm honest with you guys, I've seen this one time and it was a little bit boring to me, but I liked the actors in it and I thought that the idea of the story was really good, but I just don't have any interest in rewatching this. It's not the worst, but it's just something that I'm gonna skip, and honestly there's nothing else I have to say about it. At number 25, I have Tank Girl. This one, I wasn't too sure of putting it on the list because I don't know if it really falls into like the hero superhero category. but it's a very interesting one, and it was one that I did decide to watch, so I thought I'd just throw it in here. Really, really fun until she runs into the kangaroos, the kangaroo people. If you've seen it, you know what I mean. Everything before it was just fun. It just felt like a comic, but then that happened, and then the movie kind of dove and went down. Yeah, I really don't have anything else to say. I'm really disappointed because this movie, as I was watching it, was already going to get like a 3.5, 4 out of 5 because I was really enjoying it. And it ended up being like a really low rating because of it. At 24, I have Justice League. This is the first one, the first release. This was just a mess, okay? And I know I'm not the only one that agrees with this because there was just so many plot holes in this one. Just a lot of stuff didn't make sense. It felt choppy. It felt like they just edited it way too much, and we know that now because of the Zack Snyder version, but this one just felt like a mess. Like it was thrown in a blender. I just wasn't satisfied with it. I didn't hate it. I still enjoyed myself. I still found it entertaining, but I wasn't keen to like rewatch it. It felt incomplete, and now we know why. At 23, I have Suicide Squad. This is the first one that came out. This one's the one with Will Smith. I initially found it entertaining, but I didn't really think it was a good movie. Some of the stuff just doesn't make sense. Like they introduced the team twice in the movie. I found that really weird. Honestly, the takeaway from this movie was that Harley Quinn is a badass and Margot Robbie is amazing as Harley Quinn, and then everything else was a fail, to be honest. I think that it was a really bad script, and that's why it didn't turn out very good. And so I don't blame any of the actors in this. But again, the standout, Margot Robbie, and that's it. Like, we got Margot Robbie, we got an iconic outfit that everyone wears now for Halloween. But besides that, no, I just didn't love it. And I think I still own this movie, but would I rewatch it? Probably not, now that I've seen The Suicide Squad. Maybe one day. At number 22, I have Superman 4. This is one that I wanted to rewatch before doing this video because I remember liking it more than 3, but I still remember not loving it. But to be honest, I don't remember too much about it, so I wanted to rewatch it, and damn it, I forgot to do that. And so with this one, take it with a grain of salt because I don't really remember too much about it. From what I remember, I think it's placed well on my list. At number 21, I have Constantine. This is the movie starring Keanu Reeves and Shia LaBeouf. I think this is the first movie I ever saw Shia LaBeouf in. I enjoyed this one. I thought it was interesting and a cool concept that I had never seen in a movie before, so I really did enjoy myself watching this. But again, it just felt off. Like there was some bits that were really good, and then other bits that just felt like the pacing wasn't good. I don't know how to explain it. Like it's just, it wasn't awful, but it's not something that I'm keen to rewatch. So, okay, so from here on up, it's still in the okay section, but these are the movies that I probably would rewatch and I do own. So at number 20, I have Superman Returns. This one stars Brendan Routh as Superman, and when this movie came out, I absolutely loved it. I was obsessed with it. I was obsessed with Brendan Routh, but I have seen it a couple of times since, and it's not as good as I remember. It's not as fun as I remember, especially because there are just better Superman movies now. I really did enjoy myself watching this one, so it is something that I would rewatch. I do own it. I do realize that it's pretty cheesy, and there are some scenes and characters in this that are not good, like Parker Posey. She's awful in everything. I'm sorry, I just don't think she's a good actress, but I still enjoy myself watching this one, and so that's why I think in the top 20 is okay. Like I said, it's still in my okay list. It's not in my best, but it is still a guilty pleasure of mine. At 19, I have Batman Forever. This one, again, cheesy, but totally rewatchable. I think mainly because Jim Carrey is just so funny. I love him. And another guilty pleasure, I think it's still fun to watch. I think Val Kilmer is really good as Batman. And I don't know, I just really enjoy this one. Love Nicole Kidman's character in this. Just a lot of iconic actors. It's super comic-y. I know that. It's very, very comic-y. But I still enjoy it, and I still think that it's fun. And if you don't want to take anything too seriously and you want something to kind of just get you through a bad day, I think that Batman Forever is pretty cool. At number 18, I have Watchmen. I recently watched this one for the first time, and I truly did enjoy myself with this one. The reason it's not in my top, like the best movies, is because it does drag. It's very long, it's very slow paced, and I'm just more of a fast paced type of person. So it's not one of my favorites. Will I rewatch it? Yes, I own it. I really did enjoy it, like I said, but it's still not one of the best ones. So I still think that sitting in the okay at the top is pretty good for this movie. I enjoyed it a lot. What I really liked about this is the characters. I just thought they were really fleshed out, which I really enjoyed, and I do think it is one of the better ones. Maybe I should have done worst, okay, good, and like very good. And if that was the case, this would go in the good part of the list. It's a lot darker than the other ones that I've mentioned on this list so far, but I still think that it was a very interesting film. At number 17, I have Aquaman. This one was a lot of fun. Again, super comic-y, but I think it was meant that way. Like, I think they made it to be a little bit more lighthearted, because a lot of the DC comic movies, as you guys know, are pretty dark, are pretty intense, and are pretty heavy. So I do think that they tried to make this one a little bit more lighthearted, colorful, just a little bit more playful. I do think they tried to make it a little bit more like the Marvel universe, but you know what, that's okay, because I really did enjoy Aquaman. I thought it was a lot of fun to watch, really entertaining. Definitely would rewatch it. All the actors are fantastic in this, and I really liked the story. At number 16, I have The Dark Knight Rises. I do enjoy this movie. I just think that, again, some parts drag out. There's not enough Batman in this one. I think there's really not enough Batman in this, and it could have been a shorter movie and a little bit more fast paced, but in saying that, I still really enjoy this. I still rewatch this when I watch the other two. I like to watch the trilogy all together, so I still think that this is a great ending to the trilogy, and I enjoy it. At number 15, I have Shazam. This one was so much fun. Again, this one felt like an Aquaman type movie, where it was more lighthearted. It still had like the depth of the characters, and it had a lot of like fun moments and deep moments, but it was less heavy, and I liked that about this. I truly really loved the part where the kids are all grown up and they're like the superheroes. Those bits were so much fun. I've only seen this once, but I really am keen to rewatch it, because I really enjoyed myself watching this, and that's why this is at the top of my okay list, because it could have been one of the best, but because I've only seen it once, I don't want to kind of give it that status just yet. I do feel like it's one of those movies that the more you watch, the more you love it and enjoy it. So I do believe that this could eventually go into the best. I know not everybody loves this one, but for me, it was just so much fun. And to me, sometimes I just want fun. I don't need a movie to be 100% perfect. And this one was just super funny too, and I just really liked all the actors in this. So now we are onto the best of the DC Comics adaptions. And at number 14, I have Superman 2. This is another one that I haven't rewatched in a while, so it might drop in the list. Again, people's lists always change. My mood might be different, and I might decide that this isn't one of my favorites anymore, but I really do enjoy this one. I think this one was a lot of fun to watch as well, and I love Christopher Reeve. I think he's such a great Superman, and I know most people would agree that he is the best Superman. I tend to toss up between him and Henry Cavill because I just think they're both so good. But I'm digressing. This one just has a lot of iconic scenes in it, and I feel like I need to rewatch it again because it's been a while. At number 13, I have Batman Returns. By no means is this movie perfect. There are some really cheesy and corny scenes in this movie. It is super 90s, it is super comic-y, but I love this. I think Michael Keaton is an excellent Batman, and I just really love Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman in this. I think that might be why it's so much higher on this list, because I love Michelle Pfeiffer in this. Danny DeVito is great. I just think that this movie is really iconic and fun, and I know I've said that so many times about so many of the other movies, but I really enjoy this one. This is definitely one that I've rewatched a fair bit, so this is one that will never grow old on me. I think I will always enjoy it. At 12, I have V for Vendetta, starring Natalie Portman and Hugo Weaving. I love this movie. I only recently watched it, I'm gonna say last year or the year before, and I don't know why it took me so long to get into this, but I loved it. I loved the concept. I loved the acting. I thought the action scenes were great. I just really liked that he's kind of like, he's a vigilante, but he's kind of like Catwoman in that sense, where he's like, he's not good, but he's not bad. You know, he's like in the middle, but he's trying to do the right thing. And I don't know, I really, really enjoyed this one. This has become one of my favorites, and I've only seen it once, so I definitely need to check it out again, but I remember really enjoying it, which is why it's one of my favorites on the list. At number 11, I have Man of Steel. If you had asked me this a few years back, I probably would have put this up the top somewhere because I absolutely loved this movie. But now, seeing all the movies that I have seen, I have noticed a lot of the flaws in this movie, that it's dragged out, and there's just some things that I wasn't loving in this one. I do think this one's a little bit too heavy with like the plot. Like, I think there's just too much going on, but in saying that, I still do enjoy this one, and I still do think it's one of the best ones that have come out. I know a lot of people have a problem with this movie. I know a lot of people don't like this one. I know a lot of people don't like the new Batman and Superman movies, but I still think they're really fun and entertaining, and so I think that I'm happy with where this one's placed. I really do love Henry Cavill in this, and I don't know, I'm in love with the man. What can I say? I know that this might be a bit of a shock to some people, not everyone. I think some people might agree with me, but I don't really like Amy Adams in this movie. I don't think that she suits the Lois Lane character. I don't think she's one of the best Lois Lanes. To be honest, my favorite Lois Lane is Erica Durance from Smallville. I think she's the best Lois Lane. Smallville had the best of a lot of people. I think Smallville had the best Lex Luthor as well, and I think that Tom Welling was a fantastic Clark Kent, because you don't really see him as Superman, but he was a great Clark Kent. But I'm going to say that Erica Durance was the best Lois Lane, and I don't really like Amy Adams in this. Love her as an actress, just didn't like her in this. But yes, let's not talk about Smallville anymore. I love Smallville, by the way. So now we're up to the top 10. At number 10, I have Superman, the original one with Christopher Reeves. I love this. This is just a classic movie. Sure, it has cheesy moments because it's just dated, but you know what? It's still such a great, fun movie to watch. What else can I say? I just really enjoy it. Lex Luthor's really cheesy in this, but I think that it's supposed to be a little bit lighthearted and fun. It's not supposed to be taken so seriously, so I think that that's why these movies work. At number 9, I have Batman. This is the one starring Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson. Again, a classic, just so much fun, such a great story too. I just really enjoy Jack Nicholson's Joker. I think he's fantastic. And up until The Dark Knight, Jack Nicholson was my favorite Joker. I think he does such a fantastic job. I think he's just so creepy, and I just really liked that he was really like out there. I really love Michael Keaton as Batman. I think he was fantastic in this one. Is it perfect? No, but it is so much fun, and it is so rewatchable, and it's definitely one of my go-tos. At number 8, I have Batman vs Superman, the director's cut, the longer one, or is it called the extended cut? I don't remember. I watched the original theater cut when I went to the movies, and I felt like stuff was missing and I didn't love it, and it wasn't until I watched it again on DVD, but I watched this cut, that I really came to grow into this. Like, I feel like this is a movie that you grow into after watching it a few times, and I really do enjoy it. I think it's very deep. I think it goes into the characters very deeply, and I don't know, I know some people have a problem with this as well. They have, like I said, have a problem with a lot of the Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill movies, but I liked this. I thought it was really good, and I watched it recently with my mum when we did like a marathon of the newer ones, and I really enjoyed this one. It does have its issues. It has some pacing issues. I'm not a big fan of Lex Luthor. I didn't really love Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I don't know, I just don't think he fit the role very well, but I still enjoyed this movie. Again, I do find it has problems, but I really enjoy it. At number 7, I have The Suicide Squad. This is the newer one that's just come out, and I loved this one. I thought it was so fun. I will say the beginning was a little bit weird and threw me off a little, but after the beginning opening scene, I was hooked. I could not stop smiling and enjoying my experience. Really loved this, loved it so much more than Suicide Squad, and this is one that I'll definitely be rewatching. Harley Quinn is just so freaking iconic. I feel like Margot Robbie has set the bar so high when it comes to like female DC characters. She does such a good job, and I think that she's perfect as Harley Quinn, and she steals the scene in every single scene that she's in, and I just love her. I would love to see lots of Harley Quinn movies because I think that she's amazing. At number 6, I have Zack Snyder's Justice League. This one, again, so much better than the original cut, and because now it all makes sense and the plot holes are fixed. They are finally fixed, and we have a full story, and I love that they show every single character's story and it's fleshed out and you actually care about them. So when things happen, you care about these characters, and I just really liked this. It had so much depth to it. This movie is long. It goes for like 4 hours. And you guys, if you have seen my wrap-up videos, you might have seen me talk about how much I loved this. 5 out of 5, loved it. And I definitely think that it deserves one of the top spots in the best DC comic movies, because to me, this was fantastic. I know people still have issues with it, like I said, but in my opinion, I think it's one of the best ones that has come out in the recent years. At number 5, I have Birds of Prey. I have expressed my love for Harley Quinn and expressed my love for Margot Robbie, so it's no surprise that this has hit my top 5. I just think it's so much fun. She's just such an iconic, fun character to follow. She is so quirky, and what I really love about the DC comic female villains is that they are kind of like grey characters. They're not black or white characters. They're very grey. Like, you never know if they're good or bad. They just kind of go with the flow, and that's how I feel about Harley Quinn, which is why I think that this movie didn't feel like I was following a villain. The effects for when she's shooting people with the glitter, it's just it felt like a comic, but in a good way. Like a Deadpool DC type movie. Do you know what I mean? I feel like, I know I'm not the only one because I've seen like pictures of Deadpool and Harley Quinn together, but honestly, they would be perfect together, okay? Deadpool and Harley Quinn are like the same, okay? They're one and the same, and they should be a couple. But anyways, I'm digressing because I just freaking love her, and I love this story, and I think that this movie was done really well. Loved it, loved all the characters. I actually have no problems with this movie at all, and I think it's one of the better ones to come out too. It was just so entertaining, and I rewatch it so many times. It's funny, it's silly, it just has everything, and I'm obsessed with it. At number 4, I have Wonder Woman. Just again, one of my favorites. To me, it's flawless. I have no issues with this movie. I think it's great. I think Gal Gadot is perfect as Wonder Woman. I think because I went into this movie with not very high expectations, because Wonder Woman wasn't really my favorite DC female character. I always found her a little bit silly, you know, because she would have an invisible jet, and I don't know, I just found her really silly. But after watching this movie, I found love for Wonder Woman, and now she's one of my favorite DC characters, and I just really loved this movie. I think it's so well made, and she's still so feminine, but still kicks ass. Like, she doesn't have to like prove herself, and I love that. She doesn't feel like she has to be one of the boys. She's still a woman, but she's kicking ass, and I don't know how to explain it, but I just really loved that. I don't know what else to say. I love this movie. At number 3, I have Batman Begins. Christian Bale is my favorite Batman, in case you guys wanted to know. I know a lot of people love Michael Keaton as number 1. I do think he's fantastic, but ever since these movies came out, Christian Bale takes the cake for me. I love his voice. I know that it's been mocked a lot and parodied a lot in a lot of movies, but I just think he's just so cool. He's such a cool Batman. These Batman movies were a lot grittier, so when they came out, they were just a lot darker, a lot deeper. I just really love Batman. Batman is my favorite hero in the comics, and including the Marvel comics. Batman's just my absolute favorite because he's a man and he doesn't have superhero powers, but he still wants to make a difference. And I don't know, I just really love him. He's kind of like the Iron Man of the DC universe, and I just really love Batman. I just absolutely love this movie. I think that it's such a great origin story. Christopher Nolan is amazing. I love him. He's one of my favorite directors, and I just really think that this is a great movie and not just a Batman movie. At number 2, I have Joker, starring Joaquin Phoenix. This was such a shock to me because I knew I was going to enjoy it, but I didn't know I was going to love it as much as I did. And even though I had heard so many good things about this movie, it was such a great surprise because it was so deep and it took its time, but I think the pacing was perfect for this movie. And the fact that he's a villain, but you still kind of feel sorry for him. You still kind of like side with him. I really care for him. Like, he went through so much, and it was just such a great character movie as well. Like, you felt really, really bad for him. There was a lot of like beautiful moments in this movie too, and when he gets crazy, it goes wild, and I love that. And the ending was just so good, and he was just perfect for the role. I don't want to ever compare Joaquin Phoenix to Heath Ledger because they're both completely different Jokers. In my opinion, they're both completely different, but they're both fantastic. And in saying that, at number 1, I have The Dark Knight. This is my favorite DC Comics movie. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's definitely in my top 5, and I just think it's a great film. Like, not just a superhero movie, but it's just such a great film. It's so entertaining. There's so much action going on, but the story is still there. A lot of the time when the movies have too much action, the story or the plot kind of hides behind that, but with this, it just, everything made sense and everything was put in the right place. I don't know how to explain it, but the acting, everybody in this was awesome. But of course, the standout was Heath Ledger. He was so good in this, and he got the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, as he deserved it, because he did such an incredible job. The very first like 10 minutes with the bank heist was so intense and suspenseful, and I loved that because it set the course for the rest of the movie, and it just never stopped. This movie was non-stop fun and non-stop action, and it was just, it's so much fun to rewatch it. I think it's the most rewatchable movie out of all of the DC comic movies, and I don't think that it will ever not be my number 1. So that's it for my list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please let me know down below what you guys think, what your top 10 are, or even just let me know what your ranking is from worst to best. I'd love to hear it down in the comments below. Please give it a thumbs up if you like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.